Okay, now we're going to find what we call the line of best fit. Basically what this is, it's a mathematical formula that's kind of messy and tedious to work with, so we're going to let the calculator do it. But it's basically the line that goes through the data and has when we add up all the distances from the data point, actual data points to the line, it's the smallest sum of distances. So it's the one that is closest to all the data points when we consider all of them. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we've got the same information here, but we're going to go to our calculator and we're going to go to something called the stat button. So on your calculator, you should have here, kind of towards the top in the second row, the stat button. Bring your calculator on, hit that, and you'll see it gives you some options. The first thing we have to do is edit the information to get this data that's in the chart into the calculator. So go ahead and hit enter, and you'll see your columns. If you don't see list 1, list 2, list 3, you need to go back to Stat and Setup Editor, hit enter again, and then it should get you back and put everything where it needs to be. If that doesn't work, please reach out to me and we'll figure out what's going on with your calculator. Okay, so back here I want to edit and I'm going to put in the information. Now remember, our X's, we use the small years since the beginning year, not the actual year. So we're going to do the same thing here, enter this information in. Please be very, very careful as you're entering, because one number off and you have all kinds of problems. Okay, so get list 1 in, then go back up, start list 2. Oh, and see, I just did something wrong there. So 293, didn't get my 3, 333, 344, 360. It is hard with this buttons. Okay, and 2 more, 380 and 402. All right, make sure that your columns match, that they have the same length, that you didn't miss any data points, double check. And here I'm telling you to be careful, and I still messed one up. 333 right there. Okay, so I double, triple check when I put my data in because it can be hard to figure out where a problem is. If you're working this and my math lab tells you your answer's wrong on a test, obviously you would just kind of be out of luck because your answer would be wrong. So please, please check your work. We're going to quit from there. All right, so in the notes I've got a couple screenshots there that show you that. Then we go to the next step and create that scatter plot. All right, so before we did that on our own, we just kind of plotted it. Now we want the calculator to actually do it. If you hit graph, depending on where you're at, you're not going to see anything. So what I want you to do is go to zoom, and we go down to number 9, and you can go backwards or forwards and get to something called zoom stat. That's going to zoom into our statistics. So if I hit that, oh, you know what? It's not doing that because I forgot to tell you to turn on your stat plot. So let's go back and do that. So if I go to stat and have it do stuff here, it can do that. But in order to actually see the graph, to get it to calculate some things and graph that line, we need to turn on the stat plot. So go second, y equals, and we get to the stat plot menu. Right now you can see all of my things are off. So I'm going to hit enter, and it's flashing on, so I hit enter, that turns it on. You want to leave your type in this first one, which is the scatter plot, so that everything is just distinctly plotted as a point. Use some of these other ones. If you're going to take a probability and statistics class, you might venture into some of these other graphs, but not in this class. Make sure X list shows L1, list Y list shows L2. For the mark, you are welcome to choose any of those, but the boxes are probably the easiest to see. If you quit from there and then go to your y equals, you'll notice now that plot 1 is highlighted. Once you've set up your stat plot screen, you really don't have to go back to that menu. You can turn your plots on and off really quickly by just arrowing up, hitting enter, and it unhighlights it. You hit enter again, it highlights it and turns it back on. Okay, so now if I go to zoom and zoom into my stats, it should change things, and you can see it's not perfect, but it's a pretty decent linear progression. It's going up from left to right. All right, so I've got those steps in here again in the notes if you want to refer to those later. All right, now what else do I need to do? I needed to actually find, oops, wrong thing. I needed to find the actual equation. So what we're going to do is quit from here again, now that we agreed that it looks like a line, and I'm going to go back to my stat menu and this time have it calculate for us, right? What we're looking for are lines. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to number 4. It says lin reg, and it sounds like linear regression, right? It even tells you the format ax plus b, which is like mx plus b, and we're going to have it do that. So hit enter. Okay, now if I just hit enter at this point, it would probably do some things for me. It would give me some information, but I really want it to go and put it into my y equals so that I can use this model. So I'm going to give it some what we call arguments. I'm going to tell it to use list 1, so that's right above the number 1, so second L1, and then a comma, and then use list 2, so right above number 2, second L2 there, comma, and then I'm going to tell it where to paste it. This is a little long, but you're going to go to vars. You're going to go over to the y variables because that's where we're going to paste it as a function, and we're going to call it y1. Okay, so it's drawing from list 1 and list 2, and it's going to paste the answer for us in y1. Now I hit enter, and it gives me all the details, right? It's telling me A is about 20, B is about 302, and then it's got these R's. If you don't have those R's there, you need to go to second catalog and turn your diagnostic on, and then go through those steps again. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit. Right there. You would just go ahead and hit enter there, and turn your diagnostic on, and then rerun your linear regression. These are important. These are telling me how good of a fit it is. So the R, the plain R, is called the correlation coefficient, or the coefficient of correlation. The closer this value is to positive or -1, the better the fit. It's a stronger model for us. So it's positive in this case because our data went up from left to right. It's increasing. If it had been going down, that R would be negative. Okay, we will talk more about R squared when we do other types of regression. But for this one, I can see that it is a good fit. And because we put in all those L1, L2, Y1 thing, when you go to your Y equals now, you can see it copied the entire equation in there. So we do have an equation, all right? So for writing it out in my math lab, they'll probably tell you to round to a certain number of decimal places. In this particular case, I rounded to 1 decimal place, okay? And here again is the note about the correlation coefficient if you're not seeing it. Then we want to be able to use this, right? So the whole point of pasting it into this y equals is so we don't have to copy all those numbers. So if I want to know what's going to happen in a particular year, in 2017, for instance, let me scroll that back down, I would go to vars. I'm going to go find my y variable. We called it function y1. So remember how we've done like f of 2, f of 3. This is y1 of, so parentheses, 8, and hit enter. It tells me about $462. That's a little higher than we did with the model where we just chose 2 points. Supposedly this one would be a little more accurate than our model. But again, they're just models, okay? They're estimates. They're not perfect things, but that's how you would use your calculator to get the line of best fit. I've got another example for you in another video, so if you still need some help, please check that out.